Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Fenway Park.
Welcome to Boston Territory, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Good evening. Hello, hello. Good morning if you are listening to this on your Saturday morning, wherever you may be going. But I don't know. I'm still trying to recover from all the festivities from yesterday. I ate too much food. I know that's the old cliche saying for Thanksgiving, but I enjoyed my food, and I enjoyed very much that there was no one named Mick that was running around out there telling us that the Red Sox had signed Kyle Schwarber, Pete Alonso, whoever it may be. I didn't need Mick for a second straight Thanksgiving, but I enjoyed my holiday yesterday. Hope all of you did as well. I hope you all spent some time with family, friends, whatever it may be. But good to be back here at the desk. I'm going to be honest with you. Yes, we had Thanksgiving yesterday, but I was just working all day, pretty much. I can't believe I'm about to even say these words because I never thought I would say these words. I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm saying this. I started a TikTok. If you would like to go follow me on TikTok, head on over there and go see what I put over there. I decided to put a few videos up there today. I was working on those. I had something for the main channel that I was working on. We were working on Monster Territory stuff here tonight. And we got a mailbag episode for tonight with a little bit of news sprinkled in. That's how I like to do the mailbag. I like to intertwine it with actual news that's out there. Keeps it flowing nicely. Wrath Figs in the chat. Do I do the TikTok dances? Listen, it took every ounce of my being and my soul to even start a TikTok, okay? So, yeah, you're lucky you got that. We will not be doing any dances on there. I'll tell you that right now. But, hey, if we can get more outreach to all the platforms out there, I'm always open to it. So, let's get to it here, shall we? I feel like I'm rambling. It is late here on the East Coast. A bit of a late start here tonight. Do apologize about that. So if you are awake, listening with me or listening to me, being with me here tonight, I do appreciate that. But let's get to it here. And we're going to start off with a bit of news before we get to the mailbag here. And because we had this from Jon Heyman. We already talked about this pretty much. Because we had it from McCaffrey the other day, and Jon Heyman was pretty much following up on that, saying that the Red Sox want to sign 2 of these 5 bats. Now, McCaffrey didn't go as in depth. She had mentioned Pete Alonso, Kyle Schwarber being along with Bregman. Remember, because we had got the report. I talked about this last episode. We had gotten the reports from John Morosi, Alex Spears, saying there was a suspicion that they were only going to go after one of the big bats. And, we were talking about it. We were going over possibilities, but something in my head just, I don't know, didn't fully sit right because I was feeling that felt a lot like an opinion almost, where you weren't really quite sure what was going on. I mean, we'll see what ends up happening here with the Red Sox, but I do fully believe they need to land 2 of the big bats. Of course, can you bring back Bregman and go for a middle tier guy like an Okamoto, for example? Sure. But to me, if you really want to plant the flag, right, you are back in this competitive window, but if you want teams to know that you are absolutely dead set on going for a World Series and making a deep playoff run, then you got to go land some power, which you didn't have after trading Rafi Devers. So, as for Jon Heyman, and also with Jon Heyman, remember, he has the connections with Scott Boras, right? It always just so happens every time there's a story on a Scott Boras client, Jon Heyman has the scoop. It's just how it is, right? But this is what he said. The Red Sox are considering signing up to 2 of these 5 big-time lineup enhancements. Uber popular Kyle Schwarber, plus Pete Alonso, Kazuma Okamoto, and JT Realmuto. I don't know, like that was a bit of a joke when people were talking about this yesterday. Like, oh, why is JT Realmuto in that mix? He's not. I mean, I like JT Realmuto, but I don't think we're going to be considering him the big bat that we're hoping to get for the middle of the order. He goes on to say here, with the $250 million saved from the smart midseason dumping of Rafi Devers, Boston looks like a huge player this winter in what shapes up as a battle royal in baseball's only division featuring 3 legit big market teams. Bregman seems like the most likely fit, but they'd love another big bat with righty hitters preferred. Although Schwarber is strongly in the mix following his brilliant 56-homer season. Excellent clubhouse reputation and familiarity from his cameo there in 2021. And I've been on record saying that as well. I feel like Alonso edges out Schwarber more because of the logistics. You don't have to give up draft picks, international signing money. He slides right into first base. So if you plan on keeping Tristan Casas, if you don't plan on moving him, then he can come back and then you figure it out, first base, DH, whatever it may be. I think Alonso fits pretty well logistically. Schwarber, of course, you find a way to fit him. I think Alonso edges out when it comes to the little things that the front office likes, right? So that's kind of where I'm at. But either way, it's good news from Jon Heyman. Good news from Jon Heyman. Now, we're going to start getting into the mailbag here. Let's get into it. I've picked out several, but we also had another bit of news here today, and we actually got this from a Kansas City Royals beat writer. But here is the first question. We got here from Brandon Patterson. Report from a KC reporter said Boston was asking for too much in return for Duran. What realistically could they get for Duran, or what do you think Duran is asking, or what do you think Boston is asking for Duran from KC? Well, here was the story from that. Here was the article. It was a Reddit Ask Me Anything from Ann Rogers, who covers the Kansas City Royals, and we had this in there. The Royals want an outfielder who can add to their offense, which the Red Sox have in... Oh, no, sorry. I'm starting a little too ahead. Let me backtrack. I've heard that right now the price the Red Sox are asking for is too high for the Royals to feel comfortable about. But we'll see how that shifts throughout the winter. The two teams match up on paper. The Royals want an outfielder who can add to their offense, which the Red Sox have in Duran or Wilyer Abreu. Boston wants Major League ready starting pitching. The Royals have that. So the Royals, I mean, I've talked about the Royals plenty of times. They make sense on paper, like she said, right? I mean, the Royals, they need bats in that outfield. I mean, that is absolutely the most clear thing out, one of the most clear things out there from a team need point of view. The Royals' offense from the outfield has stunk over the last couple of years. So Duran would absolutely, I think, be a great fit for the Royals because obviously he's a good offensive player, but I think he fits their ballpark very well. More of a gaps kind of a place, right? You saw Andrew Benintendi go over there. He tweaked a couple of things. He got back to more of what he was good at prior before he was trying to hit dingers left and right. More of a gaps hitter, right? And Benintendi had a lot of success there. Duran, with all of the extra base hits that he gets, I think he would fit very well there. The problem here is I just don't know if they match up fully on a trade. Now, yes, I agree. The Red Sox want pitching. And, you know, people are going to throw out the Vinny Pasquantino thing. I don't see the Vinny Pasquantino thing, to be completely honest with you. I don't see the Royals giving up a power bat in the middle of the order to bring in Duran. I think they would want to add to Vinny Pasquantino. So that's where they can use their pitching to possibly get a deal done. Now, we've talked about this before, too. You know, Chris Bubic. The Red Sox just showed you they don't mind bringing in someone where they only have 1 year of control. The difference with Bubic coming off a good season, though, is he's coming off a shoulder injury. So do the Red Sox want to use an asset like Duran on Bubic, who had a pretty risky injury last year, and there's only 1 year of control left? I don't know. It doesn't really feel like a good fit there. I'm not sure about that one. Now, if I'm thinking about Cole Reagans, well, then you're talking, I think. If the Red Sox are looking for upside at the top of the rotation, then yeah, I think you're looking at Cole Reagans. Problem is, well, he had some injuries last year too, but the advanced metrics still look very good with him. Problem there is, like I always say, it takes two to tango. You can't be biased when it comes to trades. You can't be throwing out trade packages. I see them all the time, especially in Red Sox land. You know, you got the different podcasts out there saying, "Oh man, let's go make this trade." They'll put the mock trade out there, and it absolutely stinks. And because you can't look at it from just your own point of view, you got to look at it from that team's point of view too, right? So the Red Sox, they would probably want Cole Reagans in this situation. I fully believe that. I don't think the Royals would want to do that. So I mean, could you look at someone like Noah Cameron? You know, he showed some good things this last year after getting called up, but the Red Sox are looking for top of the rotation guys that are proven commodities. You know, Noah Cameron, I don't know. I mean, he's put up some good numbers. I mean, if we take a look here, I don't think that's not impossible. I think you maybe could see something like that, but just getting called up, 24 starts. He did show some good things. ERA at 2.99. The FIP was higher in the fours. Not a lot of strikeouts. So I don't know if the Red Sox would really prefer that, to be completely honest with you. I don't know. Could you do one of the, something involving one of the catching prospects? Well, the Red Sox, they just brought in some catching depth within the organization. You have Carlos Narvaez there. They just signed up Connor Wong. So I don't know. I don't know if they're good trade partners, unless it's Cole Reagans. If they're open to Cole Reagans, then sure. I don't see Bubic. I don't see Pasquantino. I don't see the catchers. I don't see Noah Cameron. The only guy I see is Cole Reagans, to be completely honest with you. But I don't know if the Royals do that. So we will see. It's a long off season, Things can happen. I was thinking about this today as I was driving around. You got a lot of off season left. You're not even at the winter meetings yet. We're more than a week out from the winter meetings. As you get closer to spring training, teams, maybe their off season isn't going the way they wanted, right? Maybe they had a few guys circled. They got the whiteboard in the front office. They got this guy at the top of the chart. Number 2, they got this guy. Number 3. But all of a sudden, they're crossing lines through these names because they're signing somewhere else. Could you see a situation where, the Royals, they really need to add some offense, and they're thinking, we need to do something here. Do we do something drastic and throw down Cole Reagans? You never know. When teams are about to go into spring training, maybe they have a change of heart and they really want to get something done. That's why you need to let the offseason play out. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who's going to sign where. Players have preferences. Sure, might be a good fit on this team or this team, but maybe he doesn't want to go to those teams. Maybe he goes somewhere else. And you just never know what's going to happen. You never know what kind of a trade a team can pull off. You just never know. So I think for the Royals, yes, there is the fit there. I just don't think they're great trade partners, at least as of right now. I don't think they end up trading Cole Reagans. I think that would be crazy, but maybe you did. So, I'll tell you this right now. If you want to get Cole Reagans, you're going to have to give up more than Duran. You are absolutely going to have to give up more than Duran. It will cost Duran. I mean, maybe another, young major league player. Maybe you could send back, a cost-controlled starter like a Cutter Crawford. Shoot. Would you even consider Brian Bayo? You know what I mean? Like, I could see the Royals wanting major league ready talent. Maybe, the main package that would go back there would be major league talent. Maybe you can throw in a prospect or two. So I don't know. I think the Royals right now aren't a great trade partner, but maybe as time goes on, maybe they could figure something out if Duran is still with the Red Sox. We'll see. Brandon Patterson, thank you for this, my friend. Do appreciate that. Before I get to the rest of the questions, I got several here that I've picked out. I do want to get a word from our sponsor for tonight. I'll be right back.
Hey, for all the parents out there with teens, it's more hectic now than ever.
Cash App's going to help, not hurt.
With the Cash App card, available to teens 13 to 17 with sponsorship by an eligible parent or guardian, every transaction triggers a real-time notification for you to see, empowering your teen to practice independence while giving you peace of mind by keeping track of their spending. You can also manage everything directly from your own Cash App account without having to switch between the two. With the Cash App card, you and your teen's balances receive 24/7 fraud monitoring, and if something ever feels off, you have the ability to lock their card right from your phone in just one tap. For a limited time, new Cash App customers can earn $10 if they use code FAMILY10 in their profile at sign up and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Terms apply. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partner. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Direct deposit and promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures.
Alrighty. So, while we're on the Jarren Duran topic, got another interesting one here. No, there's no report or anything like that, but we got a juicy little tidbit. Who knows how solid of a report it actually, or a rumor, who knows? It could just be a guy throwing something out there. But we had something from an ESPN article over the last couple of days, and I see you in the chat, Video Game Nation 26. Robbie, did you see that Glasnow is possibly available? Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about this article. Well, let's go to the question first. From Rocco, welcome back, Robbie. And I appreciate that. We got the hacked account back. I know we talked about that last time. Very nice to be back on Twitter. But do you think a Duran for Glasnow swap would work? Dodgers needed an outfielder, and the Red Sox are trying to trade one. Dodgers don't need to trade Glasnow, but they have lots of pitching and need an outfielder. You could kill two birds with one stone. Love the content. Well, Rocco, I love the question. Thank you, my friend. So here was the article. And it was, let's go to the title of it. It was, look at Stephen A. Smith. Executives predict free agency and trades. So let's go to the part where someone just threw out Glasnow. The question was, who is the top trade candidate of the winter not named Scooble? Joe Ryan got 2 votes. Freddie Peralta got 2 votes. Ketel Marte with 2. Mackenzie Gore with 1. Stephen Kwan with 1. Luis Robert with 1. A Pirate starter 1. But someone threw out a sleeper name. Tyler Glasnow. Feels like the Dodgers can go to Ohtani, Yamamoto, Snell, Sasaki, Sheehan, and others, and then use Glasnow on the trade market to cover up holes. That's interesting. It's interesting. It's so funny with Glasnow. It's like he just can't stay out of the rumor mill. Like, he's just always a guy that he's just going to get traded everywhere he goes. But could that be an option? I mean, listen. If you were to point out a couple of things with Glasnow, he has experience in the AL East, obviously, being with the Rays. A guy that's got good stuff. He pounds with his fastball. He's going to throw some good breaking stuff in there. Throw strikes. I like Glasnow, right? Now, if you're looking at a straight-up trade, well, as of right now, that would not line up at all. Tyler Glasnow, as of right now, the median surplus value on baseball trade values, you're looking at negative $8.3 million. Jarren Duran is close to $50 million in a surplus. Why? Because Glasnow, the money that he's set to make over the remainder of his contract is outweighing the projections. Now, with Glasnow, he's just had this injury history. And because of that, that's going to hold his projections back, right? The projection systems out there, they're very timid when it comes to Glasnow, so they usually don't give him a whole lot. If he could stay healthy, he is absolutely a guy that could be easily like a 1 or a 2 in your rotation. But going back to the season that he just had with the Dodgers, another solid year. ERA at 3.19, but he only made the 18 starts. 29% strikeout percentage, 10.5 strikeouts per 9. The walks were up a little bit this past year, 4.2 per 9, 4.3. But a guy that's still going to rack up the strikeouts. He has a good history of keeping the walks down. I like Glasnow when he's healthy. I just don't see this trade it wouldn't happen straight up. The Dodgers would have to pay down a good amount of that contract, and then they would probably have to include more in there. So I don't see that. But listen, again, getting back to what I was just saying, let the offseason go by. Let's say the Dodgers, they're looking at Kyle Tucker, right? That's a team that I think is a great fit for him. But if, let's say, he ends up going to the Blue Jays, he follows Dylan Cease there, or he goes to the Yankees, the Phillies, the Giants, the Orioles, who knows? The Dodgers, they could absolutely turn to the Red Sox for Jarren Duran. You know, they've been connected with Stephen Kwan in the past. Will the Guardians want to give him up? You don't know what's going to happen, right? You got to let the offseason play out more. But if it gets to the situation where the Dodgers were like, well, here's the thing with the Dodgers. They don't have to panic. They don't got to push the panic button over there. They are good to go. So, but if they get to a point where they're like, man, we really could use someone out here in left field. We got a lot of pitchers. Let's give a bit of a phone call to Mr. Craig Breslow over there. Maybe they could work something out. So, I mean, could you see something like this? I mean, this trade exactly, just straight up? No, because the contract kind of messes around with it. If they ate some of the contract, included another player or two of value, then I think you could get something done there. I think the teams line up. It's kind of like the Royals, right? Are they good trade partners? That's what matters. You know, are they going to be able to meet each other halfway based off of what each team needs? We'll see. I think it's interesting, though. I wonder if that's something that you could put in your back pocket and you could think about it throughout the offseason. Listen, you know, Sonny Gray, I've said on record, I think he's an okay number 2. I think he's like a 6 out of a 10, a 7 out of 10 as a number 2. But as a number 3, I think he's like a 9 out of 10, right? You could even like 9.5, a 10 out of 10 for a number 3. If the Red Sox feel like they want to get more upside towards the top of the rotation, then, you know, maybe Glasnow could be an option. You know, I've seen people propose, you know, Emmett Sheehan for Jarren Duran. From a value point of view, because Sheehan has a lot of control left with good projections, I mean, yeah, that's someone that you could definitely work a deal around on paper for Duran. But based off of what the Red Sox are looking for, they're looking for a proven commodity towards the top of the rotation. Emmett Sheehan, he's good, but he still has a lot to prove, in my opinion. So that's where, like, Glasnow, I feel like fits that bill a little bit more. So we'll see. Let's get to the next question. Let's get to the next one. Everyone, thank you for joining me here tonight. Do really appreciate that. We got 100 people here in the chat. Close to midnight, for crying out loud. Let's get to the next one. Here we go. From Genetic. What's your best, still slightly realistic offseason for the Red Sox? Mine's probably Schwarber, Green, Bregman, and some bullpen help. I think, honestly, I'm looking at Bregman and Alonso. I think that, to me, still feels realistic. I just think Schwarber is going to go back to the Phillies. I need to see it. I would love to say Schwarber to the Red Sox. I would, you know, if the Phillies, if there are reports out there where maybe they're looking to maybe hold back on the spending a little bit, then I could say, okay, oh yeah, Kyle Schwarber, Red Sox, that feels very good. But you got a giant Philly problem right there, right? So I think Alonso is more likely, because I mean, we just got something from John Heyman a couple hours ago saying that Francisco Lindor, Jeff McNeil, the best of friends, once again getting in. They're not having any tea parties anytime soon, right? I guess they were yelling at each other over something earlier in the season. The Mets, they got to fix clubhouse chemistry over there. Does Pete Alonso even want to be a part of that moving forward? You could, to me, I'll say this right now, body language wise, when I was listening to Pete Alonso after the Mets collapsed, that sounded like a guy that was probably gone. When he was asked, are you going to be opting out? He answered that question real quick. He said, yeah, I'm opting out. Like, there wasn't even hesitation. I don't think Alonso's going back. That's good. I mean, I could be wrong. There is obviously a good connection with him and the organization. They drafted him, good with the fan base. There's a connection, obviously, but I don't know. I just feel like David Stearns, he's going to look to prioritize other areas of the team. He's going to focus a little bit more on defense and pitching. Alonso, like I said earlier, doesn't have the draft pick tied to him. I think the Red Sox would like that. I think Alonso is more realistic than Schwarber. Bregman, I think he's still a perfect fit. And you say Hunter Green here. Hunter Green, again, it's kind of one of those... It's really hard to say Hunter Green is going to get traded. He's so good. And he's on a good contract. I don't know. I have a hard time seeing the Reds moving him, but you just never know. You know, there were reports that the Reds were not happy with Hunter Green. They are coming back from his rehab last year, coming back from his injury. They thought he was, I guess there were reports out there that they felt like he was moving a little slow with it and he wasn't trying to get back as quickly as he could. I don't know. There's a whole thing there. I don't know. But maybe they end up moving on. I think the Red Sox they're a great home for him. I think you could do Duran with the Reds. They need bats. I think you'd be a perfect fit there. It's kind of where I'm at. For me, I think Alonso, Bregman. Right now, I'm pumping the brakes on a starting pitcher. That's kind of, we got Sonny Gray. I need to let the offseason unfold more. I think they could add someone because they still have a lot of surplus with the pitching that they could include in a trade later on. And, but I think the other things need to kind of happen. The way I looked at the Sonny Gray trade, I looked at it, it's funny. I'm not trying to take credit here, okay? But I swear I say things on here, and then all of a sudden I see all these other people start to say it. I'm not trying to take credit. It's just funny how that happens. But I was saying, I'm like, it felt like urgency with that. It felt like Breslow didn't want to wait around. It felt like he had targets, but he didn't want to just sit and wait. He went and got a guy that he knew was available. Sure, Joe Ryan, Freddie Peralta, those guys could happen. But he said, you know what? Instead of waiting, I'm going to go get this guy, Sonny Gray, who's been consistent over the last few years. But if there's an opportunity to add someone else later on, okay. If not, at least we got Sonny Gray. You know what I mean? I looked at it as him being decisive. So someone like Hunter Green, Joe Ryan, Freddie Peralta, I think those guys could still happen, but I think you need to let the offseason play out a bit more. They need to prioritize the bats. And yeah, bullpen help, I think so too. I think they're going to add someone, maybe like Caleb Tealbar. I could see something like that. They need a lefty in that bullpen. So, what do we got here next? I'm going to get to one more, and then we're going to get to a word from our sponsor. Let's take a look at this one. Let's take, because we're talking Hunter Green, we got this one. From Miguel Angel Hernandez. I'm going to look at the first part of this because someone else asked about Ketel Marte. I'm going to do that in a separate one. But what would a Hunter Green trade package look like? Well, Hunter Green, he is going to cost a lot. But that's where you look at the Red Sox and you just think, man, oh man, you got Duran. You got Duran. Duran is such a good trade chip. And that's why the Red Sox should value him highly. They should be playing the leverage game. They absolutely should. No, we're not just going to give Duran away. Oh, yeah, we got these 4 outfielders, but whatever, we'll make it work. Absolutely. You keep Duran at a high price because he has good value. He's a good player. 4 wins above replacement last year. 3 years of control. Duran is absolutely a guy that has a lot of value, but that's where you could use him in maybe a package. You could do Duran. You could do a cost-controlled pitcher. Maybe Cutter Crawford. I mean, shoot, I hate to do this, but Brian Bayo even perhaps. You got some other prospect. We'll say Cutter Crawford because I know we love Brian Bayo. You got Cutter Crawford. I mean, shoot, I don't know. Do you give up Kyson Witherspoon in that situation? The Red Sox have shown before they are not afraid to give up their first-round draft pick. They did with Brady Montgomery. So if you do those three, I mean, those three right there, they already put you in the driver's seat to go get Hunter Green, when at least in terms of the mathematical numbers, looking at values. That's not always going to be the case. In fact, that's never really going to be the case. The numbers can line up, but you got to match up the philosophical needs, you know? So I don't know. I don't know if the Reds would want something like this. But that's what I think. Duran would have to be a part of a Hunter Green package. And I think you would have to include cost-controlled pitching to send back. And high upside pitching prospects as well, whether that's Kyson Witherspoon. I mean, shoot. I mean, let's get rid of Witherspoon here. Let's get rid of Cutter Crawford. I mean, we're looking at a guy like Connolly Early or Peyton Tolley. You know, one of those guys. I mean, shoot. Could you even just do Duran and I don't know, Early? I mean, right there, that already puts you in line value-wise. So the Red Sox could get a Hunter Green deal done if they wanted to, I think, if the Reds wanted to do it. Whatever it is, I think Duran is part of the package. We're going to give a few more questions here, but we do have one more word from our sponsor tonight. I'll be right back.
Hey, for all the... If you are still carrying a clunky leather brick that can be mistaken for an old school wallet, may I introduce you to what Eric Kratz is getting himself for the holidays.
I mean, this is the greatest wallet that I've ever seen in my life. Your credit cards fit in here. It's adjustable, lifetime guaranteed. Like like this is a must-have for the holidays. Absolute must-have.
Ridge Olive Matte. That is the design that Kratz has right now, and you can get a hold of that. There's over 50 plus colors and styles to choose from over at Ridge. You can even get a wallet that features every NFL, MLB, or college team. And for a limited time, Ridge is having their huge Black Friday sale. Head to ridge.com/foul to get up to 47% off your order. This is by far the biggest discount they've given all year. That's ridge.com/foul for up to 47% off your order during their biggest sale of the year. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about Ridge. Tell them Foul Territory sent. Hey, for all the parents out there with teens, it's more hectic now than ever.
Alrighty, got a few more here. Let's get back to the Q&A. And I like this question. I'm not going to take too long on it because I have talked about this before. But from Xavier Lopez, do you think the front office is doing what they've always done, invest during a competitive window, or is the team more financially conservative than ever? I think there's a little bit of both in there. I think you could say a bit of both. I do think, we just saw it last year. We just saw it last offseason. They had a great offseason last year. I still don't think they get a good amount of credit. I don't think they get a good enough amount of credit for what they did last offseason. But you go back to 20 years, 25 years since John Henry's taken over, right? Every time they've gone into a competitive window, they have spent and they have been aggressive. When they don't spend, that tells you how they feel about the organization as a whole. They want the organization to be firing on all cylinders. They want player development strong. They want guys that are close to Major League ready. They want young guys that are Major League ready, but they're at the beginning of their clocks when it comes to arbitration. When they got those things happening, that's when they spend. You just saw it last offseason, right? And now that they're even further into it, they just checked off another box getting back to the postseason. They're right back to what they have done several times in the past. I've already named off all the examples tons of times. You go back to 2003, right? 2004, you go bring in Kurt Schilling to pair with Pedro Martinez. You sign Keith Folk. 2007, you bring in Josh Beckett. That's another thing they do too. It's like they're climbing steps. They bring in Josh Beckett, 2006 with Mike Lowell. Then 2007, that's when they go for it there in the offseason. J.D. Drew, Daisuke Matsuzaka, Julio Lugo, right? You go to 2010, sure, 2011 turned out terrible, but 2010, that was a bit of a bridge year for them. but they felt good with where they were in 2011 with the amount of young talent that they had and the core that they had. So they go out there and get Adrian Gonzalez, Carl Crawford. Obviously, that didn't work out in the end, but still, they showed that aggressiveness. 2012, that was kind of like a reset year, right? Obviously, terrible year, but then 2013, they go make all those other signings that, Victorino, Napoli, Gomes, Drew. I'm forgetting someone, but they go out there and make those moves, and win a World Series in 2013. David Price, 2016. Chris Sale, 2017. JD Martinez, 2018. There you go. It's the same thing. It happens every time. And here they are. They have a big offseason last year. I think they're going to take a step forward this year. They got needs. I think they're going to address them, and there's options out there. So, but at the same time, the other part of this is the team more financially conservative than ever. I do think there is also, they don't want to get where, because they were, when Dave Dombrowski was making all the moves, it was awesome, right? But you saw what happened to the farm system. They don't want to get back to that point. They want to make the aggressive moves, but they also have an eye on the future too. They want to be sustainable. They want to keep everything intact as they go through every single year for the next 10, 15, 20 years. They want to be the Dodgers. You look at the Dodgers every single year, they're winning World Series left and right. They got young talent both in the minor leagues and at the major league level. I mean, that organization is just flowing. That's what the Red Sox want to be. So that's what every organization wants to be. The Dodgers are the blueprint. But the Red Sox have done that over the years. They have done that over the years. So it's not really anything different. But I do think they're not going to go crazy. They're not going to blow up their farm system for Tarek Skubal. I don't see that happening. So, next one from Steve. How we doing, Steve? You think the Real Muto interest is real, or are they trying to hike up the price in case the Yankees have interest? JT Real Muto, we just mentioned him earlier when John Heyman was talking about Red Sox bats. I don't see the JT Real Muto interest. I talked about this. I think they're just trying to drive up the price. I think that's what it is. And I'm looking at a team in division, the Rays, that could use an upgrade at catcher. That's a young team. Got a lot of talent there. Maybe JT Realmuto could be interested. If they throw some money at him, JT Realmuto feels like one of those veterans that the Rays, that they like to go for those good clubhouse guys, good clubhouse chemistry kind of guys. The veteran guys that can really mesh with the young talent. They got some good young pitching there. I could see JT Realmuto maybe having some interest if they offer him enough money. But again, that's kind of another thing. I wonder if the Phillies do their absolute best to keep him around, right? Because that's like another guy they can't really afford to lose. They don't have another catcher. With that pitching staff still so good, I think they would like to keep him around. I think the Rangers, I think that could be something. I wonder if I know the Rangers, there's some payroll stuff, but they traded Semien. All right, they brought in Brandon Nimmo. But I wonder if Real Muto could be a pretty good fit there. They just non-tendered Jonah Heim. Kyle Higashioka is your catcher right now. I feel like Real Muto would be a pretty good fit with the Texas Rangers. I'm looking at the Marlins. Remember, they traded him away. The Marlins, they're trying to do some things. Hey, they got some good pitching over there. Maybe Real Muto would like to work with that staff. But the Yankees, right, but they got Austin Wells. I don't know. Real Muto is still, okay, where he can do a couple of things. I don't think this is going to be a guy that's only going to play against lefties. His defense is so valuable to where you want him in the lineup, right, because he just works so well with the pitching staff. So I don't know if the Yankees make sense, but I could see the Rays, the Rangers, maybe the Marlins. The Nationals, Video Game Nation, I see you. The Nationals are weird, though, because I don't know what they are right now, So those three teams that I mentioned, those are teams that I think are looking to be competitive, right? Next one, Mayor of Quahog. I love this name. Do you think the Red Sox are looking to sell low on Casas or Yoshida to open up the roster for more flexibility? I think they would sell low on Yoshida. I really do. I don't know. But then again, it's like I feel like when I don't know. I thought they were going to get rid of him last offseason. I thought they were going to find a way. But he was coming back from the injury, so that maybe made things a bit more complicated. He showed you some things coming back this year. He got hot in September. But that's one where I feel like the Red Sox, they're just ready to go here. And I think just with Massa, I think he could, I don't know. The Red Sox have their outfield now. I mean, I just don't really see Massa playing a lot of outfield. He's not the best solution at DH for the Red Sox, in my opinion. I just don't think he fits the park well for what Kyle Schwarber is the DH that you want. That type. A guy that can hit for a ton of power. Massa is more of like a contact kind of a guy with a little bit of pop. Doesn't fit Fenway Park very well. You need a guy that's going to hit moonshots at Fenway Park if you're a lefty bat, right? So I don't think Massa is a great fit for the Red Sox, personally. You have your outfield set. I think they're going to value that roster spot in the end. I still think they're going to find a way to move on from him, but whenever I think they're going to move on from him, they just end up keeping him. I am going to predict that they will find a way to move him. Casas, though, I actually think they're going to continue to be high on Casas. They've been saying it left and right. They're saying we have high hopes for him. We feel like there's a lot in that tank. There's a power bat there. Everything, anytime Casas comes up with the front office or Alex Cora, they have nothing but good things to say about him, right? Is that a leverage thing? I don't know. Or is that genuinely like, hey, we still feel like he can provide something a lot for us? I don't want to say something. I mean, this is a guy, he has the potential to hit 30-plus home runs a year. He does. He has that power for Fenway Park from the left side. So, and again, if you go get Alonso, Casas, he slides back in, and I think that could end up being the best situation for Casas. I felt like there was a lot of pressure on him last year, and it seemed like he was pressing a lot. But I feel like if you get Alonso or Schwarber, whatever, Casas, whenever he's ready to come back, and that's another thing. If you get Alonso, Casas can kind of take his time. Because Alonso, he'll have it, he's not a great defensive first baseman, but he can at least take care of it, right? But Casas comes back, and he can slide into the bottom of the order, and he can kind of just work on whatever he's got to do, right? I think they're selling high on Casas. Maybe not high. You can only go so high here with Casas after the injury, but you're banking on the potential of him. It's there. I don't know if they're going to be able to move him. The only way I could see Casas getting moved is if it's in a package where he's a good throw-in, A team out there, they're thinking, all right, we like this, but you know what? You got to give us Casas. You got to give us Casas too. We want the upside of him, right? That's the only way I could see it. If there's like a trade that is too good to pass up and they want Casas, that's how I see him getting moved. We'll see. Last one. From Mike Toomey. The Ketel Marte thing fascinates me. What would the Red Sox have to send? Does Duran and Bayo get it done? Well, from our point of view, from Red Sox fans' point of view, yes. Do the Diamondbacks want this? Well, I don't know. Well, actually, if you're looking at just the numbers, well, this doesn't line up very well, to be completely honest with you. I think the Red Sox, from a numbers point of view, because Marte's on the contract, I mean, you're giving up good talent here. But I feel like this is one of those where, sure, it's an overpay on paper. I feel like at least it's pretty it's good. The Diamondbacks probably, I don't know how they would feel about that. Diamondbacks fans, I could see the D-backs fans out there hating that. They like Ketel Marte over there a lot. He's really good, and he's on a good contract. If this trade happened, I think Diamondbacks fans would not be happy with it. personally. I mean, yeah, they would get a good young pitcher in Bayo, right? And they do need pitching. And Duran's good. That would be pretty fun to have Corbin Carroll, Jarren Duran at the top of the order. But, I don't know. But I agree with you. Froggy Fresh. What a great name. They would probably want someone with more of a ceiling. They would probably want Peyton Tolley or Connolly Early. Well, but then would the Red Sox want to do this? I think this is where I think the Red Sox would come in. Let's say this was realistic. Let's say Connolly Early. I think the Red Sox would be like, all right, no, you got to pay down some of that contract. Connolly Early was just pitching in a postseason game for us. He's young. This guy's a stud. I mean, come on. We're giving up Duran, who's, he's got a 10 wins above replacement combined over the last 2 years. Connolly Early, 5th start in the major leagues, pitching at Yankee Stadium in the postseason. I mean, come on. This is a lot we're giving up. You're going to have to pay some of that contract. That's what I think would end up happening. So that's where I don't know if they line up. Paper-wise, yeah. Philosophically, I'm not sure. So, yeah, Froggy Fresh, one of the most lovable players the D-backs have had. I'm telling you, if that trade happened, Diamondbacks fans would not be happy. They would not be happy. We'll see. I see you in the chat, Froggy Fresh. What about Duran, Connolly Early, in the password? I mean, you're giving up tons of talent at that point. But, Ketel Marte is very good. That would be a big overpay paper-wise. I don't know. Will Marte end up getting moved? We'll see. And honestly, the only way I see the Red Sox getting Marte is if Bregman doesn't come back. I think I think he's going to come back. I still feel very good about that one. But if he doesn't, then Meyer plays third, and then you got to figure out second base. But if Bregman comes back, then Meyer's playing second base. So that's the way I see it. Nick, where do we think Grissom is going? I don't know where Vaughn Grissom's going. I feel very bad for Vaughn Grissom, to be honest. That guy, I hope he really finds a spot somewhere. It's not with the Red Sox. It's just not. Anyway, everybody, I'm out of here. That is it for tonight's episode. If you come on the way out, hit the like button for me. Subscribe if you're new. Go follow me on TikTok. I can't believe I'm saying that. But everybody, thank you so much. We're past midnight here. Always appreciate you stopping by, giving me the support. We'll be back here Monday night. If anything happens Sunday, I usually don't like to do anything Saturday nights. But Sunday, things can happen on Sundays, right? We'll see. If anything does happen, I'll be here. Monday, though, I will be back then. Go have yourself a good weekend, everybody, and I'll talk to you next time.